Welcome back to the third and final video in our podcast creation video series. If you've been following along with our lessons thus far, you know that we focused on creating a show that was treated as a live show with little to no editing involved. Editing itself would be an entire video series, and while we will not be diving into the deep end of editing, we would like to cover a few basics. However, if you're not planning to edit, you can go ahead and just skip right past this whole chunk. Today, we're going to briefly show you a free piece of audio editing software called Audacity. You can get it for free by Googling it or visiting the website that I've conveniently put on screen below me. Audacity is available for free for both PC and Macs, but if you have and know how to use something like GarageBand on Mac or another piece of software, you may be more comfortable there. This is all an issue of personal preference, ultimately. Regardless, once you've installed Audacity and opened it, you'll come to this screen.
Before we start working in here, we're going to find our files. Most computers will have an SD card reader, and if yours does, simply remove the SD card from your field recorder device and insert it into your computer. If you do not have one, you can connect your field recorder to your computer via USB cable. Either way, this will show up in your files. While your file directory may look slightly different than ours, this should be close enough for you to follow. Navigate to the folder where your files are stored, and we're going to drag that file into the Audacity application. When you've done this, you'll see a bunch of sound waves dragged out along a track. This is your recording. You can hit the spacebar or play button to play the audio to listen if you'd like. Here's a short, special clip to teach you how to do a few simple edits.
Okay, now that you see your WAV file on the screen here, I'm going to show you how to edit out a small section. It's really easy. You'll see a bunch of tools up top, and I'm going to use this multi-tool, which is where it automatically starts you off. So here we go. We're going to play through this just so you can hear this, okay? Hi, everyone. Here's a little bit of test audio. This chunk here is the part that's supposed to be deleted. And this is the end of our test audio. So I'll hit spacebar again to stop it. You can also hit spacebar to play, which I may not have said, but also clicking the play button here. And if you hover over the buttons, you'll see the shortcut keys. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to highlight this middle section here. As you heard, that's the section we're supposed to delete. So you can just click and drag across like so here, and it'll create an area. And once you feel pretty good, and I recommend leaving a little space on either side, you can just click the delete key, and it will both delete and move the files close together. So now when we hit play, hi everyone, here's a little bit of test audio. And this is the end of our test audio. And now you know how to do some basic editing in Audacity.
When you've made your edits, you'll go to the file, then to export. For the highest quality, export it as a WAV file. Name your file, and make sure you pay attention to where the file is being saved. Great, you now have your final show audio. Let's publish your show.
For the publishing process, we'll be using the free service Anchor.fm, which is also conveniently its website. Here, you can make an account for free and release your podcasts into the wild. It's honestly really simple. Anchor also offers a built-in audio editor, and if you're interested in using this, I would recommend following their instructions. Once you've created an account and are logged in, you can simply select the file you made of your show and add it to the site. Remember where you saved your files earlier? Well, that's great, because we're going to go there to drag the files into the site. Then, Anchor.fm will prompt you to click next as you upload the show, name it, and other things of that nature, and give it all of its details. Once you've walked through these simple steps, the show has the option of being released onto all major podcast platforms. Now be warned, this will be final, though you can still delete and remove a show from the internet, but you can't edit a show once it's been published. So know that if you want to make changes, you'll have to delete the show and start again from the beginning of the publishing process.
You've done it. You've made and released a podcast. We would highly recommend high-fiving yourself now. However, We're not quite done. We wanted to cover a few things that are very important to ensure your podcast gets heard. The main tip is engage with social media. Create a Facebook page, an Instagram account, and Twitter account for your show. Try to ensure that all of these accounts have the same handle. So for example, if you're doing the Oatmeal Cookie Show, make sure that each account ends up as something like @OatmealCookieShow, rather than individual separate names. Instagram in particular is a great way to engage with podcasting lately, almost more so than the other platforms, but do not neglect those either. While Anchor.fm will put your podcast into the world, it is the responsibility of the podcast creators to ensure the show is properly marketed to audiences. There are so many podcasts out there that this may seem daunting or hard, and to be honest, it will be both, but when you become successful through this work, it will be incredibly rewarding.
This concludes our 3-part video series on creating a simple podcast. We hope that you learned a lot, and we really hope that you will not forget us when you're a famous podcaster. And thank you so much for tuning into this series.